And we are back, and we will be joined now by film director Sahera Dirbas. Sahera should be Sahera, please unmute and turn your video on. Okay, there we go. مرحبا.
مرحبا. هاي.
أهلين.
Then
كيفكم؟
just everybody's decompressing from the film.
I know. Yeah, we always need a moment of silence to process these films. Thank you, Sahera, for keeping the history alive.
Yeah. I mean, this film is like from 2012.
Yes.
And actually it's a document now of all these people. The first witnesses of Nakba. I mean, it's the first generation.
Sahera, how many of these people are still alive?
I think most probably nobody of them.
None of them?
No.
Yeah.
That's why we are so grateful to you for recording their voices, their stories, their histories.
Yeah,
the joy of their village and the pain of losing it.
Yeah. This generation is like, you have to run before that they pass away, and to record as much as we can. And I mean, as a first witness, it's very important to listen what they pass. You know, it's different from the second generation of Nakba.
Mm-hmm.
Now, actually, this film was, I mean, I was asked by the Museum of Deir to do for them about 5 minutes about Deir Yassin. And because, of course, it's an important subject on what's happened and the massacre, I decided, I did for them 5 minutes for the museum, that it's shown there 24 hours. So I decided to continue by myself and to document all the witnesses, which was not very, very, very easy at all to convince them to speak. I mean, there is one of them, it took me one day, all the day, to talk with him and to explain and so on. So he accepted that we came back. It's Muhammad Asad, I think his name. He accepted too that we come back another day and we film him. He was afraid to speak, it seems to be for a period also. But he is the one that he gathered the names, and he knew a lot of details, the one that he sang also these folklore songs. And this is very important. The folklore songs, actually, for this generation, it's a way to express their pain, their Nakba. A lot, I don't know if I think a lot of people notice that the new generation, they don't sing or they don't keep this kind of folk in the way to express their pain, their families, about their village and what's happened. And it was very interesting to document also in the film how the massacre happened. I mean, I had to put in puzzle from 6:30 in the morning, from 2 o'clock, then 6:30. Then this Eitzel and Lechi, that the the Jewish gangs that they were. It seems to be they in the battle they had problems and injuries and so on. So and the Haganah they asked for help from the Haganah, which is they came with the armed guard and continue the fight and the attack on the people of Deir Yassin.
Sahera, I wonder if
By
you
the way,
could.
Krista,
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
the chat is back on for anybody who would like
Okay.
to use the chat.
Yeah,
And
so please put your
put-
comments in the chat.
Yeah, put your questions in the Q&A, not in the chat, though. So we have some questions here, Krista, if you want to take a look.
Sure. I just wonder before we get to questions, if Sahera, if you could just, for those of our viewers who perhaps are still trying to make sense of the history of the Nakba and the significance of Deir Yassin happening in April while the British were still in Palestine, Israel was not yet a state. Help us understand just the context of and the significance of Deir Yassin, what happened there, and the impact that it had on Palestinians at that time, so that we can kind of move forward from there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of rumors and maybe I'm not sure, fact also that people were killed, women, pregnant women were killed, Palestinian people were killed, and maybe also, no, I forgot the word, اغتصبوا in English.
Raped.
Raped, yeah. And maybe they raped women or girls there. And this news, it was in the radio at that time, and made a lot of effect on a lot of people. And you can see that like Menachem Begin, the ex-prime minister, and he was from Eitzel also, and Lehi gangs, the Jewish gangs. Because of this massacre, like from 800,000 Palestinians, they were uprooted and left a lot of people to 110,000 Palestinians that they remained.
Yeah, there is some documented evidence where the Zionist forces used Deir Yassin to get people to leave and threaten them. We showed a film called Going Home that was directed by Omar Khattan. And in the film, a British officer who was featured in that film said that he remembers in this where he was assigned to protect Jaffa for the last few days of the British rule. He said all he could remember is Zionist jeeps going around the streets in Jaffa with big loudspeakers saying, "Get out with the British, remember Deir Yassin." And this was like in May, which is only like a few weeks after Deir Yassin. So they were capitalizing on Deir Yassin to scare people and terrorize them in leaving.
Yeah, and they kept to say that they killed 258 people. I mean, also they exaggerated with the numbers. I mean, the Mohammed Yassini, he said like it's 110 or 120. They were killed, but when they said also they're using this big numbers also to make people afraid and to run away. I mean, also the fact that was in the radio at that time, this had a lot of effect too.
Yeah.
One person is wondering if you've seen the film Born in Deir Yassin from 2017, directed by Neta Shoshani, and just what you thought of it.
Oh, yes, I saw it. Yes, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
and if you've met the director or what you think of the film.
And I saw it when it was screened in Jerusalem, and something bothered me that, and the Deir Yassin itself, the village, it still exists, and it's a mental health center there, you know. And when I filmed, I mean, I filmed all the village because it's very difficult to get the license permit to film. In my way, I find a way, and I could film it. And I film it from my point of view as Palestinian village. Now, in that film, I saw like an Israeli general. I mean, that we have our memories, and suddenly come an Israeli to give also other memories. You know, I don't know if we are speaking about the same film. And for me, it disturbed me. I didn't feel comfortable with this.
You mentioned memory. I wonder if you could talk.
It's speaking, if I'm not wrong, it's speaking about the person that was in the mental health, or his mother was born in the village before it became a mental health center, and then came back as the mental health center inside the village. And he's speaking about all these memories, relations, and so on. So, and it's, for me, it's still there. You see, it's a Palestinian village, and the buildings they show, and it's a proof also that it's Palestinian still.
Sure. Well, yeah, I mean, all the people who were driven out of their homes or fled because they heard of Deir Yassin, regardless of how they left, to this day have not been allowed to return. So
yeah.
I wonder if you could just talk about the importance of memory just in Palestinian society and culture, and how you use memory to tell the story of Palestine and tell the story of Deir Yassin and all the other stories you tell in your films.
You know, I want, just before speaking about this, I want to say that I knew some Palestinians from Deir Yassin. They live in Jerusalem and district of Jerusalem. Like they used a way, or they became in a way, or they did a way, I don't know, a way to feeling not good or getting in depression or whatever, just to have the reason to go to visit, to be there treated, and to visit the village.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because it's a mental health center.
Yeah, I mean, yes, they want to see the village, and you know, they were born even there or raised up there, and yes, I mean, they use it in that way. Even if I'm not wrong, there is a person that he's from his grandfather from Deir Yassin, and he's working there.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is really, I couldn't understand, but
well, it's that question of access, right?
Yeah, it's a conflict of feelings. I mean, you want to be in your place, in your really village, and this is the only way, you know, is that you also work there. Or, I mean, in that time, in this time, I mean, how now, concerning how I preserve, or how I use the memory, is filming. I mean, it's, of course, it's based on oral history, and people telling the stories. as I said, it's not easy for them to tell the story. I mean, we had to speak a lot with every one of them. Each one, I had to find a way to convince to tell the story again, because about Deir Yassin, a lot of people all the time they speak in this. The way how to do it, there is the man that he sing in the folklore song in the film. It took me one day to convince him that we want to film him. Okay. And when I started the interview with him, he just sit as a robot and he started to tell, as a robot. What? And I said, sorry, wait. Tell me how you married. Tell me how it was the life. I mean, that's why the film it's called Village and Massacre of the
Yes.
Tell me about the habits, tradition, and this. And you could see how much he changed. He was looking at his wife, what she's asking me, what she wants. This is not what I usually. And this is very important to get the trust from the person and to feel comfortable and to make also the nice and good memories to come out, not just, in order to get the bad memories, it's good also to get the happy one, and they feel comfortable to tell you what's happened with them.
Well, of course. I mean, these villagers, people were living their lives. Like, one of the people you interviewed said this was the best time of their life during the 30s and early 40s in Deir Yassin, and then to see what happened, that all of that was lost and in such a tragic way. It's part of the history, the life and the tragedy.
And I just want to mention something important, that the Jewish from Etzel and Lehi, that they participated in this massacre, they were wanted by the British Mandate Police. I mean, they were wanted for a lot of period, and they did this, and the Haganah protect in a way them not to be caught or to be arrested or so and so, because they also did other things in Palestine, other attacks or
they're wanted on charges of terrorism and killing people.
Right, and Haganah sent the Irgun and Lehi specifically to Deir Yassin because they had the capacity to inflict harm, if you will. I mean, that was a choice that they made.
Even the village had an agreement with the neighbor settlement there, that it was like a peace agreement or something like this. Even so, they did it.
Well, and that's what is most disturbing, is that these were people who had made, like you said, they made peace with their neighbors, and they weren't out to get anyone, and the village was just taken over and attacked so brutally. So that's what makes it stand out, I think, so much in history. Of course, Deir Yassin is part of that whole corridor between Jerusalem and Jaffa on the Mediterranean Sea that the Zionists were hoping to clear of Palestinian villagers and from towns and cities like Lid and Ramli, so that they could have a Jewish majority in that newly found state of Israel. And of course, all these massacres and ethnic cleansing happened while the British were still on the ground, which makes it even more disturbing. And of course, there are...
Krista, there were 36 villages that had similar things happen to them as to what happened in Deir Yassin, with a total of thousands of people who were killed in those villages. There's a difference between people getting killed in combat and people getting killed in cold blood after they surrender or when they are not combatants. And when we talk about massacres, we're talking about killing people who are not combatants, who are not presenting a threat to them. And that killing is considered, against international law and against all conventions of that apply to war zones and things like that.
And you have to compare those Jewish militias were actually, many of them served in World War II in Europe. They were trained and armed, and Palestinians for the most part were, maybe they had a few guns here and there. They had some presence of they were farmers, and they're just like grabbing, trying to, it's completely caught off guard. And I mean, there's so much history there with the 1936 revolt and how Britain handled that and really crushed the Palestinians and kept them from being able to defend themselves. Yeah.
In the settlements that they did also, and before 1948, I mean, they were trained to there.
Yeah, and I want to point out also that part of the project we are working on for the exhibit in Venice that will open in May, we will be presenting for the first time a computer animation of how Israel depopulated and destroyed the over 400 Palestinian villages. And there is an animation, a chronological animation by day in the calendar. It will show you the date in the calendar, and then it will show you what villages were depopulated on that date. And then the village areas will light up on the map, and it will tell you the reason for the depopulation, whether it was psychological warfare, or whether it was eviction at gunpoint, or whether due to a massacre that took place in the village. And this goes on for 10 minutes, and 437 villages tick by one by one by one by one. And you could see them on the map, and you see the color coding. It's for the first time, this animation of it brings to life what actually happened during 1948, from the early 1948 through the early 1949. And you see those villages go one by one, and the maps, the color goes from a black map to the map full of color around the West Bank area, which remained black, of course. There weren't anything taken out of there till later. And that animation, we will be showing that in Venice starting May 20th, and obviously it will be reviewed on media as well.
Yeah, sometimes it was just an hour it took them to take over a village, and in one day, maybe 4 villages or more. It is. I haven't seen the animation, but in my mind, I've rehearsed.
It takes 10 minutes to see it.
Yeah.
And my village was one of them. Every Palestinian who was from refugees, every Palestinian refugee has a name that pops up on that map during that 10 minutes. That the name of their village comes up. So our village came up on April 25th. That's a day before Jaffa came up, which is on April 26th, because our village was protecting Jaffa's backyard. Once our village fell, the road was open all the way into Jaffa from Jerusalem to go through it.
And half of the Palestinians who were driven out even before Israel declared statehood, half of them were driven out during that time while the British were still there. And the other half, within a year, this all occurred. The 10 minutes is really representing a year and some.
More than a year, yeah. Every Palestinian who was a refugee in 1948 has a date that they can carry and tattoo on their chest. My date is April 25th, 1948. Ask every Palestinian who is a refugee, what is your date? And people need to have those dates, and they need to put them in a place where people can see them. That's the date when we were depopulated and our village was destroyed. And that's the date we are going to hold Israel accountable for until justice is served.
Sahera, I wanted to, in the film, you changed the coloring of the film when you talk a little bit about history, or you're showing footage of buildings in Deir Yassin today or at the time that you filmed, and then you shift to some history and you color the film kind of an orange hue to bring us back in time. I just wondered if you could talk about that effect that you did artistically.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I filmed the village, and I changed the coloring. I mean, according also the narration, you know, also the narration and what they are speaking about, in order to bring back that this is the same village. I mean, to let the audience to understand this is the same place, and now still looking the same. I mean, and this is what's happened here. That's why I changed to like kind of orange color to give this sensation to the people to understand that this is, we are talking about the same place and the same what's happened there.
Like you mentioned the staircase without the railing while you're showing it. It's really so powerful, because some of these villages have been taken over, and you know there are Jewish Israelis living in them today, and others are completely destroyed and, you know, out.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, also this is, as I spoke at the beginning, that this village, it's a Palestinian village, and the memories and how I look at it, it's a Palestinian. I mean, it's look now like this, but it still look like before, and it still happen what's happened, you know. I mean, compared to the other film that we spoke about it before. And it's very important to let the audience to feel these things and to understand these things. And it's very important because it's not a place that you can film. I mean, it's full of cameras and things like this, and I had a little bit to find places where there is no cameras to film. I need to film.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not easy.
Well, you did an amazing job just allowing us to be in the same space and combine that with people's personal stories and memories. And like that rock, when you know, when the woman says, you know, where's this from Deir Yassin? And she picks the rock up and she kisses it because this is her home, right? And of course, stone in that village was part of the economy. You know, there were, you know, the grinders and a very famous stone in that area that was had a yellow hue that was very prized, and people used it to build their homes.
It was considered like in a way it's a rich village. I mean, it was a very
it was and just gone like that. So yeah, it is really quite tragic and powerful at the same time.
Yes, it's sad.
I wonder if you could talk about how the younger generations inherit the memories of their grandparents, their parents, how these stories get passed on and keep the connection to their village alive.
Yeah. There is some of the new generation that I saw, one, she wrote a book, she tried to gather memories, songs about, she's from the Dan family, Deir Yassin, and she wrote a book about it. Some others, you know, they do every year, all the Deir Yassin people in Ramallah, they gather and they make like, it's not a festival, but it's big meeting with everybody and with people, talk with the committee, a folklore dance or a song, folklore songs. Yani some they document, but also I have to say it's nice when they gather together, but the new generation, they know, but they don't know all the details. And that's why a film like this is very important. Like the woman from Akil family, that they were the family. They were 3 days after they occupied the village, and they were hiding in a place where the chicken they were with 5, 6 together, small children with the mother. In the film, it was her first time to talk, and I met her in this yearly annual meeting that they do, all Deir Yassin people together and so on. So, and nobody knew about her story. She didn't tell anybody, and she told me that we filmed her. So in a way, it's nice, the meeting, and they try to keep, but it's very important to know the details, to know the details of the history, of the oral history, and these people that they pass away. This is, and it's very nice that they keep these meetings every year, but also it's very important that they don't forget the first generation with the details.
Of course. Well, what you've really done is open old wounds. You've asked people to tear off the scab and relive those days, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And that's part of your artistry and also your legacy, that you've been able to have these people share their stories so that others can learn from them,
Krista,
including descendants of the family.
I mean, and oral history is very important to
Krista,
speak about.
I have two people who want to ask,
have their hand raised.
talk.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see if so we have Barry Deir. You have your hand to talk. If you had it by mistake, lower it, please. And if not, please unmute yourself and talk. Okay, Randy, you want to talk? Randy is going to. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, just unmute yourself, and if you'd like, please turn your camera on as well.
I'm asking her to unmute. She doesn't need to do the camera, just unmute. Randy, you have your hand up. If you don't want it, lower it down. There you go. Go ahead. You can talk.
Randy's gone now. Let's see. Barry, did you want to talk?
All right. I don't
Sometimes people put their hand up by mistake, so we just want to.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And now, yeah.
There's a question here, though. Somebody wanted to say they wanted to know, how do they find out what the exact address of their house in Haifa is?
Oh, sorry?
Somebody wanted to know how they're from Haifa originally, but they have no idea where their house is. They want to know what the address of their house is in Haifa. Is there a way for them to find out?
I mean, they don't have any address, anything, or any description of the neighborhood.
I gather not. Otherwise,
or number of the property.
I lost track of where the question was here.
I missed that. Maybe it was in the chat.
I mean,
no, it's in the chat.
Oh, it's in the chat. Okay.
One way is, I mean, if he has any description of what there was in the in the neighborhood where they were living more or less, then you can start to ask people
Are there any records that show like tax records or city records that would show the list of houses, who owned them and where they're located?
Yes, there is, but also you need then the address, then you can go and you can
Yeah, but if
look,
you have the name,
or you
can you
need
look up
what we call it, the tabo.
Tabu? Yeah,
Yeah.
can you look up the name in the Tabu?
Usually they look, yes, if you have the number of the tabo and the things, then you can look up the name. But you need the numbers.
But if you have just the name, you can't find it. It's not easy.
It's difficult now because it goes according numbers and then the names.
Mm-hmm.
You can find for the same property number 11. I mean, people they sell it or something like this.
Yeah.
For example.
There is an individual called, his name is Tariq Bakri, and he will go and try to find your house and do like a little video of it. I can post a link to an article about him in the chat if you're interested. Maybe you could get in touch with him and see if he's able to locate your home through description. You know, the more information, obviously, the better. But
I mean, he can send me a description of where he was and so on, and I can ask for him because I'm from Haifa too.
I think it was a woman,
yes.
but I just don't remember the name. I just saw it a little while ago. I think, you know, what would be great to have is somebody to research all the existing places and publish a directory.
Right, and try to match
all
up
the property
names
as it stood in 1948 and who owned what and where it was. I mean, that would be a great directory.
That would be
one.
For sure, yeah. Well, there are lots of...
I'm sure that the information exists.
Yeah, and especially in the cities, the British kept very careful records. So they would have, for example, who owned the houses.
But the records of the British are with the Israelis now.
Yeah.
I know, and that's the thing
they changed the way. That's why you need the original numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But you can get there also if you have the description of where it was and so on. So people, because people, they know in Wadi Nisnas in Haifa, if you go, people, they know who was the owners of the house.
Of course, yeah, they have that history.
So then you can get there,
Okay, so we have some people raise their hands. I assume there's too many to be by accident. So Gretchen Graves, let's try Gretchen. Gretchen, you want to talk? And you can unmute yourself and talk, Gretchen.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes. Alaikum salam. Tfaddali, yalla.
Alhamdulillah. Ramadan Mubarak. I wanted to see, I know a while back, Faisal, I had sent you an email, and it was about the possibility, it was an article that was written with the possibility of using AI to record folks who were dying. It's actually Holocaust survivors that they're using this for, and it makes me so sad when I see these documentaries. And as Sahera said, that all of the folks in this movie are gone. And this was a really interesting article. I know I had mentioned it before in the chat for another film, how wonderful it would be to have this particular company interview Nakba survivors. And it's a way that younger generations can actually talk to them even after they've passed. They have this incredible way of asking questions, and and if it's something that they don't have an answer for, they'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that." But it's the actual person in AI, and it's just, but it's this person in front of you, and it's like you're actually talking. It would be like a Nakba survivor. Has anybody heard of that? Or Faisal, do you remember that article?
I've heard of the technology, but I have not really seen it work. You know, I have a sister who claims she could do the same thing, but
I'll have to find the article and resend it to you, and
Sure.
maybe you could pass it on to somebody who might be able to do that. You know, hook up the
after you send it, give me a call so I'll find, you know, because I get a lot of things in.
Yeah, I just got really excited and when I heard it. I think it's a US firm, but I'm not positive.
Well, obviously, for this to work, it needs to have a huge database of interviews, prior interviews, and then the software can then search through the database and finds information about it. You know, it'd be like a Google search thing, where you put the name of a person, and then it will pull out a lot of information about that person or their address or something. But you need a lot of data in the database to figure out to make it like work and make it useful. But
absolutely, and we have such a wealth of these wonderful documentaries, and you know, with what you know, the museum has, I just think that it would be it's an incredible opportunity that we have to do like now, or they're gonna be gone, and it's just so sad. And I don't know, I just thought I'd throw that out there, and I'll find it, resend it to you, and then I'll call you.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak, Ramadan Kareem.
Yep, thanks
you. Thanks, Gretchen. We do have one question. Sahera, have you been able to show the film much in the US and in recent years? And have you experienced, have you been met with any resistance or political pressure in some people's efforts to silence Palestinian voices or criticism of Israel? I just wondered what your experience has been.
In the States, I don't remember if it was maybe in 1 or 2 festivals. It was in Dubai also festival. It was shown, I think, also in the Cinematheque. It was shown, you know, it's since 2012. I don't remember all of them, but also I think in Israel was shown, also in Brussels too. I mean, you mean if there was a pressure because of the film about with me? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't have to.
By the way, just a note I know we have like 73 people still on. With Sahera's permission, we are showing the film to people in Australia who can't see it this time because it's kind of really middle of their night. Tomorrow, Sunday, 4 a.m. US time, 10 a.m. Europe time. So if you have friends or you want to see it again, you can register for it. It's on our website, the same place. It just says, you know, it says Australia on it, Australia time zones. And we have about 50 people in Australia and New Zealand so far who wants to see the film that are registered for it. So this is a new phenomena that we have a big Palestinian contingent and friends of Palestine in Australia who like to watch our films. And they've been telling me, you've got to give us a better time to watch those films. So there, you can tell your friends who haven't seen the film that there is a window to see it again, 4 a.m. US time, 10 a.m. Europe time, and you can figure out the other time zones from there.
And then, of course, after they watch the film in Australia, they can watch a recording of this post-film discussion.
Yeah,
so
we will put
participate.
This conversation, we will put it on YouTube, on YouTube, so people can actually, after watching the Australian edition, they can watch the discussion we're going through now.
Yeah, I just want to mention one thing in the film. When I did the film and I had to put everything together as a puzzle and research and so on. So one of the photos that I found, it's black and white and on internet, that shows it is a massacre. It was written the massacre of Deir Yassin, and I researched this photo, and it happened that I was also in an exhibition abroad. I don't want to mention where. I found out that this photo, it's the photo of the massacre of Sabra and Shatila, but they did it in black and white, and they wrote on it, it's it's Deir Yassin.
Deir Yassin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I saw it exhibited in another place. It's very important. I mean, when you don't have enough photos or whatever, not to use anything. I mean, it's very important, this misinformation, not to be continued.
Yeah.
And it's bad to be used also in exhibitions and without people. And you see, if you look good, you see one young boy there that he has a genes, and in that time they didn't have a genes, So it's very important to keep the research and
Yeah, we
not
need
to
to
leave a
maintain the
misinformation.
integrity of the information, and so people would have confidence in it when they see it.
Of course.
We
yeah.
have another person who wanted to talk, so let's ask Afif Siman. You would.
Hello, Afif.
Hi, good morning. Well, good afternoon now here. Well, first of all, congratulate Sahera and the organizers. This is really a great job. I wanted also to say that it's very refreshing to see also on the testimonies that they get to speak about what happened before the massacre. I think that it's very important for Palestinian heritage to be able to know how was the village before, the dances, the songs, because when we read about Deir Yassin or watch movies about Deir Yassin, they go just directly to the terror. I mean, to what happened that was terrible, but you don't get to know about what was happening on Deir Yassin before. I wanted to ask Sahera, I didn't see in the testimony any reference to the other violence that happened during the massacre, to specifically the sexual violence and all these terrible things you mentioned. I wanted to know your thoughts on this. Do you think that the other sources that talk about it, perhaps they left something out, or do you think that this is due because it's such a terrible thing that they didn't wanted to talk about it? What do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
Yes, this is a very sensitive subject for Palestinians to speak about it. And to the people of the village, they didn't, at the beginning, they denied. And later I researched more also. There was somebody else also researching this subject with the British documents there is about it. And I could get information about two women. They told me that they have been raped, actually. But it is very difficult to mention whom and what's happened, because the family wouldn't accept never to talk about it. And maybe they, I mean, also through the person that I got the information, he or she asked me not to to say, not to write, or not to mention anything, because the family would follow her, or would ask her, or would make her saying that she's not saying the truth. It's a very difficult, but I could understand that happened. Yes, there was raping during the massacre for a woman. Unfortunately, it's yani, from historical point of view, it should be mentioned, but also from another point of view, of the families, I can understand them very much.
Yes, another question, if I can take advantage here. I see that at the end of the film, you put a list of the victims. What
Yes.
was your source to that list? Because, you know, there has always been the discussion that about the numbers of victims. What was your source? I know that there is a book I have of Birset University that investigated the massacre. What was your source of that list?
Yes, the list is a list that was done by Muhammad Asad, that he appears in the film, that he sings. And it was done after a meeting among all the people of Deir Yassin, and all of them, they collect and they wrote together this list. I think they're speaking about 110 or 15, I don't remember exactly, but even 10, it's a massacre. Even 100, even 200, it's a massacre. But this is my source. It was according that person that they wrote with hand. They gather with each claim together. They had a meeting and they wrote with hand all the names from each family.
Oh, yes, I agree totally with you. Even the number is the least important, but I just had the question. And to end my intervention, I'm from Colombia, and well, I think that it's important for this kind of documentary to also be available to Spanish-speaking, Palestinians, which we are a lot here in Latin America, but also in the rest of the Hispanic world. Do you have Spanish subtitled version? Is there a way for our Latin American organizations to find a way to show it to our people here in Latin America?
For the moment, I don't have Spanish subtitles, but
Sahera,
let's find a way.
Sahera, the question is, would you make your film available for people to write their own translation of the subtitles? Because you could use some tools now and make your own translation. If you are you willing to have some people do that on your behalf?
You mean through YouTube or something like this?
Yeah. YouTube is easy.
I will do it. If possible, I will do it. So you can have.
A lot of people.
Then the subtitles will not be 100%, but
I know they're sometimes they're really bad. So
well, they're better than nothing.
It'd be nice if someone could look after and correct some of them, because especially the people are speaking heavy village dialects. And YouTube can't do that.
The museum is willing to help in sponsoring some of these activities, if you like. And I know, like in Italy, there is a group that does a lot of translation. It's called Arab Book. They translate a lot of things to Italian, and I'm sure in Colombia and other places, there are people who are willing to and capable of doing that, and some of them are really very qualified to do it.
Yes, perhaps we could collaborate to find a way to do that more professionally, because I agree with Krista that sometimes this automatic translations are not the best, but maybe we find a way to hire a specialist or do it in a more professional way, so that it can be available to the Spanish-speaking audience. So
I think you can take, like, for instance, a film that has subtitles in one language, and you can export that's the subtitles, and then you can go through like a text editing tool, and then write below it the new subtitles in the other language, and then you can load it back in the film. The technique is there, and it works pretty well. It's just a question of somebody going through the trouble of writing it and making the correct translation.
I mean,
Yes.
there is translation, all of it. No, the subtitle in English, it's there, so it should be easy to
Yeah.
put and
Yeah.
Yeah.
You match the English with another language, and you load it back again in YouTube, and it'll work fine.
Well, Afif, maybe you could start the ball
Help us.
rolling to find people who are willing to
yeah,
work
sure.
on that, a team of
Yeah,
people,
sure.
and then you can get in touch with
Yeah.
Sahera, and she can
Yeah, Afif,
help make that happen.
talk to me, and I'll work with Sahera, and we'll get some other people in other countries also.
yeah.
Perfect. So do you? I mean, since I subscribe to the event, you have my email available. How
Yes,
can I?
yes, I have you.
Perfect.
If you signed up for this, I know your email.
Yes.
Everybody
Yes.
that's
So
on the
And
show.
thank you for asking, Afif. That's a great
No,
idea.
thank you so much. I'm really thankful. Deir Yassin is a subject I really I have read about, and it has interested me since I was a kid, because I had almost an aunt of mine that she was from the Red Cross, and she lived in Bethlehem. So when unfortunately she died, and I didn't tape her or anything, but she always told me that when Deir Yassin happened, that in a moment the Red Cross entered, and she was like a nurse, and she told me all that she saw, and it was like really, I mean, I have it like burned in my mind, all that she told me that she found there, and the pregnant woman that they had cut, and it was really terrible. So I have had all this images in my brain since she told it to me. It was really sad, and it was terrible. So I'm really grateful with Sahara for letting people know what really happened, and it's very valuable. So whatever I can do to help.
Afif,
Shukran.
where are you from originally in Palestine?
My family is from Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
Okay.
Yes, and you know, so it's like very important to me. So whatever I can do to help, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We got about 4 minutes left here, so let's Krista, why don't you find some good questions, or have Sahara say something. Go ahead.
No, I saw somebody wrote, I think, Emil Josie and others.
Yeah.
Ramadan Kareem, and Happy Easter for everybody. And there is peace.
Speaking of Ramadan, we haven't eaten yet, so.
I know we're still in daytime here.
Just very quickly.
Sahera, one of the guests is asking if the orphanage of Miss Hosseini is still operating.
Yes.
If you know.
Yeah, it's still there, and there is a school there. Yeah, still going on.
Thank you. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of questions today specifically. Let's see if there's anything else.
Yeah. I want to show you the picture. The picture you see behind me are Palestinian refugee girls from Gaza. This picture was taken in 1957. So these young ladies in the photo are in my age group. They're in their 70s.
Wow.
And there they are.
I'm very interested if anybody can figure out if any of them are still living in Gaza or elsewhere.
I would think so and hope so.
Yeah,
maybe if anyone recognizes anyone.
Maybe we should post a reward for somebody finding one of these young girls. They're going to be on the cover of the exhibit book that we are going to be publishing in a few weeks in connection with the exhibit in Venice. That's the cover of the book.
Well, I bet as that cover gets distributed and you have it on your website for the museum and people attend the exhibit in Italy and in Venice, that someone is going to come up to you and say, that's my auntie, or that's
So
my...
these young girls are our past and they're our future, all at the same time.
That's right.
And the ones on the back of the cover are the more adult, which I don't think any of them will be living now, because from 57 till now, they would be over 100 years of age. Yeah, so unfortunately, maybe that little girl there in front of her mother or so might be living still.
Well, hopefully you'll have some stories to share with us in the future.
We will.
To bring those young faces to life for us.
Yeah,
You have to bring these photos to the refugee camps in Gaza, most probably.
Yeah, I will share them. These photos are part of a unique collection that's not available in the public domain. So this is the first time they're shown in public here.
That's incredible. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, as we wrap up, I just wanted to mention that tomorrow we on Madafe, our guest is Muhammad Bakri, the entertaining film director, and we will be having a conversation with him, Krista and I, and you're all welcome to join. If you want to join, you can sign up on our website for the Madafe program. We have Rima Salah wants to talk. Last chance to talk. Rima, go ahead, unmute yourself.
Unmute. Yes, you hear me?
Yes, tfaddali.
Yeah, I'm Rima Salah, and I was very, very happy to hear the voice of Sid Hind Husseini, because I worked with her in Dar al-Tifl. We started the first school of social work. She asked me to come and teach sociology, psychology at that time. And that's how we started the first college in Dar al-Tifl al-Arabi.
Rima, are you related to the Salah family from Ramallah?
No, we are Salah Jerusalem.
Okay.
And there is Salah Ramallah and there is Salah Nablus.
Yeah, the Salah.
The Salah from Jerusalem, yes.
Yeah, the Salah Ramallah. The
Yeah.
Salah Ramallah people owned the Salah pharmacy on Manara.
Yes.
And one of the women was photographs in 1939 with a thobe, embroidered thobe, and that photograph became an iconic photograph. And we tracked her eventually, and she was living in San Diego, and unfortunately she passed away after celebrating her 100th birthday about 2 years ago.
Rima, how old are you?
I'm I'm the 70s, like Faisal. 75, yes. But somebody asked me if Doris Salah is my sister. Yes, Doris Salah is my sister, and she was the head of the YWCA for many years in Jerusalem after occupation.
Okay, Rima, we need to talk. So
yeah, I am here now in New York. I will come and visit.
Okay.
I worked many years at the United Nations, UNICEF, and other places in Africa and Pakistan and Vietnam, and then of course I work for the Palestinians too.
Yeah, we'll be talking shortly.
I will be interested in having your email through Faisal if possible.
Yes. I will connect you. All right. So thank you so much, everybody. And for those who are in Australia and want to take advantage of the Australia screening, we'll be back tomorrow, Sunday, to show the film again. And please come back, or if you have friends who like to watch it, have them go to our website and register for the Australian version of this. I know people were registering for the wrong versions back and forth. And we will see some of you at the Muhammad Bakri Madafe tomorrow, and we will have more programming for next weekend. Sahera, thank you so much. This film has been a great film to watch. It's very emotional for everybody. It will be drilled in our memory for a long time to come, what we saw in the film. And I wanted to point out that the kind of singing that I forgot his name was singing is called ataba.
Ataba, yes.
Ataba, and it's very famous, and it's still practiced now. And I remember last year we had a group that came from the Galilee to they were in the US with some children, and they came to the museum and they sang Ataba for me. And if we had time, I would play you the song, but next time we could do it. It's on, that song is on our Instagram. You can go to Instagram and back up like maybe about a year or so, and you'll find it. It's a great singing, and it's usually a sad subject, but it's melancholy, and it's
Right.
it's really
It's a lot about diaspora and family and the villages.
it's therapy. It's therapy.
Yeah, it is.
It is therapy. All right, thanks everybody, and as we always say at the end, ma salama, goodbye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sahera. Take care.
Thank you too.
Salamat.